Imagine your son or daughter disappears one day only to find out he or she has landed in Syria, joined the militant group Islamic State and is taking up arms to fight. That's the reality for hundreds of ISIL's Western recruits. Every one of them has a family they've left behind. But for their mothers, it's particularly harrowing. In Islam, the mother is highly respected. One Islamic scholar and confidant of the Prophet Muhammad said, "I know of no other deed that brings people closer to Allah than kind treatment and respect towards one's mother." So when these radicalized men and women leave, they do so at odds with that respect, and their families are left in shock with more questions than answers. Here now to share her experience as a mother of an ISIL fighter, Carolina Dam joins us from Copenhagen. Carolina, thanks for joining us. We appreciate this.
You're welcome.
Your son, Lucas, converted to Islam. At the time, you thought it was, in your words, a little miracle. But in May 2014, he disappeared. What happened?
Well, he ran off to Turkey. He called me a couple of days after he had left and told me that he needed a vacation. He was cornered from a meeting with the municipality. And he just needed to get away. He did at that time say that he needed to help his brothers and sisters, so he was going to work in aid camps, and he had a friend down there that he was going to be living with and working with.
And what was the situation leading up to him leaving?
He was getting more and more radicalized. I know this now, but at that time we didn't know of the word radicalized. He was extreme Muslim because he had ADD and Asperger's, so he was extreme Muslim as he was extreme in a lot of other things. But he was more and more agitated, more and more believing in doing the right thing. He did talk about wanting to help his brothers and sisters, and that, you know, Syrians were being killed and stuff. But I never thought that he was, you know, radicalized, and I never thought that he would run away.
And did you at any point think that he may be taking up arms to join this fight?
No, we did talk about it. I said, because he talked about, you know, helping aid, and we do things like that in Denmark as well. You know, we treat and teach our kids to help each other when they're in need. We collect money for the poor. We collect money for a long range of things. So this is, you know, with my blessing that we help each other, or help others, but I told him that if you're going to go for holy war, I won't have it.
But, you know, as you say, after he left, he stayed in pretty regular contact with you. You said you felt that he didn't want to let you go. I mean, you know, you've shared with us some of the notes that he sent to you, and it sounds like a note any teenager would send to his mum. And I'll quote from it. It says here, this is a note from him to you. He says, "Please call me back. I love you very much. My only mom. Lots of kisses wherever you are." Did you get the feeling that he didn't know what he was doing at the point and he was reaching out to you?
No. No, not once. I did get the feeling of, because every time he sent a message, he was sure to use the word mum, you know, several times. "Hi mum, what are you doing mum? I hope you're okay mum." That's 3 times in one row. He was, I just thought he was, you know, missing his mother, and given the fact that everyone else that have gone, I have heard of, they have all told their parents, their mother, what they're doing. My son never once told me what he was doing, and he never told me that he was not coming back. Several other mothers have had their goodbye talk with their kids. They're telling the mothers that they're not coming back, that they're going to stay down here. Whenever I talk with my son, I told him, "I love you, you're my boy, but you need to come home. I need you here." So when I say I need you here, you just say when you're going.
And what was his response to that when you pleaded with him to come home?
He did say several times that he doesn't know when he's going to come home, but he never ever said, "I'm never coming home." He led me on to think that he was coming home. I told him that, I told him everything a mother should tell her boy. And in this circumstance, you need to come home. I need to know what you're doing. I'm interested in what you're doing with your life. I want to know. Tell me some of the conditions that are going on down there. Teach me. I need to help if I can, yeah? But he was so secluded. He was so close. He didn't tell me where he was. I still thought he was in Turkey.
And at this stage, he had already left and gone to Syria.
Yeah. What you call it? People have said that the first 4 months he was in different aid camps, and during late September he crossed over as the leader of the group he was in, made a pact with ISIS. Then you have to go with you. There is no alternative. I can't ask my son, is this really what you want to do? Are you sure you know what's going on? I don't think they do. I don't think these boys necessarily know of all the beheadings or rape or whatnot. I think maybe some of them are secluded for this or from this. I know in my heart my son would never, ever be okay with raping or beheadings or kids 9 years old being raped. He wouldn't agree to this. He really wouldn't.
Your son died. How were you informed of his death?
The worst way ever. He died on the Friday of 26th. There was a Facebook group post on the 27th. On the 28th, a man came by during evening and told me that he was wounded. He was struggling on going up the stairs. He wouldn't look me in the eye. He was crying. He was shaking. He wouldn't say anything.
This was the man who came to visit you?
I held him by his neck jacket because something was so wrong, and I just kept telling him, are you going to tell me that my son's dead or what? I get a bit emotional now because it was really, really hard. It was tough. But then on the when he left, he sent me a picture of my son with the black and white flag, and this is the first time I see my son with the flag in the background. I didn't know of his existence because I didn't seek for that kind of knowledge. And then I asked this guy if this means that he's alive and who took it and where is it taken from, and he said that it came from a Facebook page group that he wasn't a member of. I later found out that he was a member, and he has been writing and posting in the group every day. So I wanted to be a member of the group. At 1:22 midday Monday, I was approved. I didn't dare to write anything in the post when I found it, because this group was utterly the worst thing I had ever been in. There were bad movies, auto-playing. There were people saying a lot of things that, first thing I didn't understand, and other things I didn't approve of. So I just waited and waited and waited. I screenshot it to the admin. No one was really replying or anything. And at the end, I gained courage and wrote in the post, "This is my son. Is he dead? Please explain it to me." And then I started talking with people. They were contacting me, Syrian fighters as well, people down there. But this is the worst experience ever. Not only finding out from a Facebook group that your son is dead, but he is linked into ISIS as well. And as of how parents should receive this kind of news, the lack of authority is appalling. I know that the Secret Service, or what they call them in Denmark, and the authorities, they knew. Before I was in the group, they knew, but they aren't allowed as an authority to go out to the mother and say, listen, there's some bad news. okay, I can deal with that, but they should have been there. They should have sent a psychologist or, you know, a crisis person, be with the mother when she's receiving this message. I'm a non-Muslim. Half of the things going on in there I don't understand. And we can't treat people like this. We can't, you know, turn our backs and say, well, let her, you know, solve it for herself. That's inhumane, in my opinion.
Now, as you say, you can't turn your backs. You have met other mothers who are in similar circumstances, who've gone through this very distressing, tragic experience. What do you do with this group?
Well, we do a lot of things. We do what is necessary. Some mums would like to be in a group and talk within a group. Some mothers would like to talk alone. Some mothers will call you on Skype or will, you know, chat on Facebook or in another forum. And some meet up if they're nearby in same area towns. They meet up, and this can't be stressed enough how important group Mothers for Life is for mothers, and not only for the mothers, but it's very important to the authorities as well. The authorities do not. I usually say we have 4 categories. We have one category of kids that are in risk of getting radicalized. We have the kids that are radicalized but living in the country. We've got kids radicalized and fled to Syria or Iraq, and then we've got kids that have fled and then died. We've got parents on each one of these posts, and we might be, you know, doing some good work on 1 and 2, but no one's got 3 and 4. So for Mothers for Life, not only working for the mothers, they need to work, we need to work, and we are working with the authorities to gain awareness, to help fill these holes that are visual, the lack of help and support for these families. Where do you go when you find something like this out? Where do you go? And how do you get on? How do you go from there? These are huge things that you shouldn't be going through alone.
Right, as you pointed out, you didn't get much help from the authorities, Danish authorities, but after you learned of your son's death, did they help you in any way to confirm that he had in fact died, the circumstances of his death, and did they help try get his remains returned to you?
Well, you can't really, this is the side of the whole thing where they can't help you, because to help you in this case, they would have to go to Syria, collect his remains, and then go back. Collecting the remains is going to be quite a hard task, as he was blown up. The authorities can't help, you know, in these issues. They can't really help on the information within Syria or where these boys are living, because they're not there. This is where the mothers come in. It's the mothers that are talking with ISIS fighters, talking with family members to ISIS fighters. It's the mothers that are gaining all the information to try and get answers of what's been going on with their own sons, and trying to get information on whereabouts and how the tactics are, and without all this knowledge, we will not be aware. We will not detect where or how we can stop this. We need the mothers on board. The mothers need to be working with the authorities to help prevent these things and to help people to get on.
Carolina Dam, thanks for joining us and sharing that harrowing experience with us. We appreciate it.